Let's go.
Hello, everybody. Good morning, and welcome back to the show. And today we have in the house a new guest with us, Mr. Brown. And this conversation is all about the real shifts, how resilience, purpose, and choices can actually transform somebody's life, can bring success to your life, and also make you start living and enjoying your life personally. So I have in the house a new guest, Mr. Brown. Could you please tell us about yourself so at least the audience can understand and acquaint with you? A few lines about yourself, please.
Hey, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for having me, Doc. And it is definitely my pleasure to actually be on the show. It's always a great opportunity to actually speak to, the different people from different places of the world. Because again, as a person who has traveled the world in the past through the military, it's always exciting. So just kind of give a little bit of insight. So Sarge is actually a nickname that actually I received from spending 27 years in the U.S. Army, and I just kept it because it represented so much of who I was and where I come from through leadership and resilience. Because again, military that's what it's all about. So that's who I've become. But what I've learned in keeping that name is that most people don't have guidance when it comes to doing life. We just haphazardly do it. So that's kind of the interesting thing.
So thank you so much for these beautiful lines coming from your side. So I'm really curious to understand about your life and your journey so far, and I'm very sure the audience will also benefit. So let me just start with the first question to understand you in detail, in depth. Right. So you have built multiple life. You have been doing different things in your life at the same time. So much on your plate already. So what moment tested your faith and resilience the most, and what carried you through all this lifespan of your journey?
Well, I mean, like probably the hardest moments is when things are kind of chaotic, okay? Chaotic and dramatic because it seemed like you never get a quiet moment. So everything is just moving so fast, and you think like, man, this is where it's at. But it's those hidden things that's behind that can affect you, So now, because when you get into your own place where nobody is listening, nobody is in the room, you know, then you're really screaming. And I think that a lot of people are in that place because of the fact that it chaos keeps us moving, but silence disturbs us. It's this mind thing that happens that we don't want to come to the realization of who we are because we've been faking it prior to that. And that's the whole thing because we put our identity into stuff, into how much money I'm making, what kind of job I have, what kind of relationship, how am I showing up on, again, podcasts. So we put so much attention and our identity in that we lose sight of really who we are. So it's more or less of when I got there, it was like I stopped asking God for like signs, like, God, give me a sign. Am I on the right path? Am I doing the right thing? The biggest thing that I started to ask was, God, just give me consistency to be who I really am.
I totally second your thought. Actually, it's very different what we actually live in and what we show to the world. And and consistency is very important to sustain your growth, to actually know what you actually like behind your interest, and actually live a life which is fulfilling you from inside. So you're actually trying to live for your own self. That's very important. All right. So beautiful.
Mhm.
Right. So you success without purpose feels empty. This is what you think generally, right? When did you realize this thing, and how did you change the definition of winning for you and for yourself? in the across your journey of life?
So in the many things that I've done, there was an opportunity years ago, back in 2009, where my wife and I got an opportunity to be on a show called ABC Wife Swap. Um, it's aired all over the world. In fact, it became the number one episode. But during that time, what we did is we opened up a business, a fitness, outdoor fitness boot camp. And that outdoor fitness boot camp was already successful, but that show just made it even more successful. And during that time, it's like, okay, man, you know what? We are doing it. I mean, everything is great, but inside it just felt like something was missing. It's like, am I doing the right thing? Is this the right thing for me? Because again, sometimes as couples, when we do stuff together, we think, oh man, this is, you like this and I like this, so this is our thing. But it might not be the thing for us, right? And our purpose. So the thing of it is I hit this goal and I realized that it wasn't necessarily the goal for me, right? And so when I came to that realization, it was more or less of, you know what, you can hit a high pinnacle of success and still not feel success at all, because and that's the thing, because most of us are riding this wave of what externally, what's outside of us, and I said this earlier, what's outside of us is what's making us. And so that's kind of the thing. So it's more or less of understanding and getting a new definition for yourself of what success really means. And so for me, it's number one, identity. Who am I showing up to be for me? Number two is what impact is I'm bringing to the world, because when we lay down for the last time and not wake up again, what did we leave the world? Did we leave the world better than it was for us when we came in? And then the last one is alignment. That means to be able to do this without like hustle and grind, meaning I'm doing it just because I love doing it and giving back. And just to kind of give you insight, one of the things that I always keep in my back pocket to actually keep me aligned with um, these truths, these three things, the integrity, impact, and alignment, is I'm a track coach, and I coach track to high schoolers. And although, it is not for money or anything, it's about the impact that I can actually have on the next generation, because I'm not just teaching track, I'm teaching life skills as well. So that's kind of the thing. So winning used to mean proving something to me or proving something to people. But now it's all about who I'm becoming to be that person for somebody else.
Yeah, I really like those words actually that you have shared with us, which is for me, aligning also is very, very important, because unless until you align with your own self, you can't have an identity outside. I mean, I don't know how people will try to understand and figure you out unless and until you actually know what you are trying to do and where you want to see yourself in the next 10 years down the line. So, of course, that's very important. Trying to finalize your own destination in the journey of your life. Beautifully explained. So, all right. So,
Mhm.
this story was before you joined military, or is it after that? Is when you realized? Just a normal quick question.
No, yeah, so military came first. I joined the military at 17. So I knew that I wanted to get out of the environment that I was growing up in the inner city. And only way that I could do that, or that I thought I could do that, was through the military. And so it I'm so thankful that I made that decision, because again, at 17, you really don't know what the heck you're doing. Um, and so I'm so glad because the military structured my life. It gave me that discipline
Yeah.
to actually go after things and to do execution. Because the thing about the military is that lives are on the line when you are making a decision. That's different. Like when you go to a regular traditional job where somebody's life may not be on the line, unless you're a doctor and you're in surgery. But in the military, we do that every single day. So when we train, we're training with a mentality that I got to stay disciplined. I gotta I understand the structure because if I don't, then somebody's gonna die. And I always kept that in the back of my mind as I grew up in the military because again, literally for 27 years, I grew up in the military. And so that's kind of the thing. But also it still brings in the compassion and awareness and self-mastery because of the fact that it you're compassionate with people coming from different walks of life, because people coming from all over the country to this. And some are people who have come from another country who decided that they want to do the military and serve in the US military so that they can learn the culture and the environment. So you're even working with that as well. So it's more or less of military gave me that structure and that discipline to actually stay focused, even when everything falls apart. There's not a military movie that's out where you don't see everything that falls apart, and then some hero shows up and encourages and motivates everybody else.
That's beautifully explained and very interesting story. Actually, it's very courageous also of you to start to think of joining military in 17. It's quite young, quite early stage of life. But of course, I can totally understand the way military fosters your growth, especially with the discipline they ultimately have and that they push through in life. So of course, all right. So try to go more in detail about this experience of yours. So how did this military experience shape the way you lead? You're also a coach at the moment, and you also have built your own, which is a quantum shift today. So what is that all about? If you could just tell us about that moment that you are still living into as a coach.
Yeah. So Quantum Shift coach, he actually started out as a just an app that, and it was specifically for me to actually keep me focused on who I'm becoming. Like that's how it started. It was like in my mind, I was like, man, I just need something that is going to keep me focused and on the goals that I want and to stop thinking so small because I think in our mind, we believe that if when it comes to a goal, let me do this goal because I believe that I can achieve that goal, right? And what I tell my kids when I'm coaching them is I like if you have this goal and it's just barely away from where you're at right now, then you're going to miss it all the time. But if you reach out and get bigger, bigger goals, I'm talking those hairy goals that just is like so big that you don't even really truly believe that you can even touch the surface type goal, right? And so I created this app to actually hold me accountable for that. And I utilized the methods of like Bob Proctor, Neville Goddard, and some of the great personal developers where teachers who was at a time where we didn't have all the technology that we have. Okay. Because the technology that we have, I can go on and I can do a search on Google and find out information about different things really quickly. but I had never internalized that because I got it so quickly, right? So this app was created for the purpose of taking all that knowledge from the past, because the past, and I'm going to align this up with how we understand with the military as well. The past help you to actually structure your future, right? So how does it do that? Well, things that you've experienced in the past, you can learn from those things and take the parts, number one, that you like, but take the parts that you don't like, and then you can improve based on the technology or the understanding that you have today. Because today is creating tomorrow. Okay. Yesterday created today. So that's what this app was all about. So what I then did is I said, okay, well, I got the app and people are liking it and they're enjoying it, but there's still one other aspect that is missing, and that is that personal connection of somebody who is right there in the trenches with them, have the problems, have the concerns that they have or have had. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to structure a coaching program that is around that as well, where I can actually help guide them and answer some of the questions and to hold them accountable to what they say that they want to do. And so that's kind of how Quantum Shift Coach built. It was built from a personal need to fulfilling the need of the people that actually have gone through it.
Trying to just further understand the how the app is built on your perspective. So it is basically having stories of other people, right? And based upon the past. So why do you think and how do you believe
Yep.
that the past stories qualifies people more than the present stories as of now? So I mean, if you could just elaborate that perspective for us, please.
Yep. So here's one of the things that I learned from studying this is everything is based on assumption. In fact, the law of assumption is probably a, a big thing, because we assume that we're going to live tomorrow. We assume that we're going to go out into our car and turn the key and start it up. We assume it. We don't know for sure, but we've gotten into such a habit with it that our expectation is that it's going to work. Now, I could take that same type of understanding, meaning that through my assumptions, things are happening. Okay. And they're happening because my expectation aligns with that assumption. And so if I can do that same thing with my goals, my dreams, and everything. So if I assume that I can earn $1 million a month, then all I have to do is align my expectation to that belief. And then that belief hardens into fact. And all of the stuff that it would take, because another principle, and this is a principle, the how never matters. It's 1,000,001 ways to actually make $1 million in a month. A millions and millions of ways to do it. But we never actually assume that we can actually do it. And until we assume it as our truth, then we can't have the expectation necessary to actually achieve it. So that's how the app actually helps you. And basically, when you get into the app aspect of things, it asks you, what are your goals? And explain, why do you want those goals? That's the very first thing that this app does. And through AI coaching that is trained based on personal development, based on my experiences, etc., then it actually coaches you right within the app based on your goals, based on what you want to achieve. So that's kind of how that actually plays a part.
So okay, it's almost like a customized application trying to guide you based upon your own information that you fed, right?
Yep.
All right. Okay. So, for listeners who feel stuck in life, or who feel they are left out in life, so what is that one shift that can make a very good move for them? And in case they want to move forward in life, so what do you personally suggest for people who are stuck in life?
Yep. You know what? Probably the biggest thing is to avoid the hype, avoid the cliches, right? Because what's interesting is, like I said, Quantum Shift app is based on has gurus, okay, and therefore on knowledge that was foundational of everybody who achieve anything, okay, because if you really study it, it's all the same, right? Right? And so it's when anything that is the shiny object, because I had that problem where the shiny object syndrome. And basically, oh man, this is great. Oh my God, they said that they can do this and that and the other. And I go over there and it's hype, and all of a sudden I feel broken and like, oh my God, this didn't even work. I'm 2 weeks in and it is done. Right. So that's kind of the thing and and begin to actually focus on your shift your shift, because shifting your identity is a choice that you have to make, because we've been given the unique ability. In fact, we're the only creature on earth that has the ability to actually make choices. We're the only one, because we can choose moment by moment by moment on what it is that we want to do and what we want to achieve, right? So it's like you can't fix your whole life overnight, but if you make new choices one day at a time, you could change your whole life. And that's the key. And that is what will help to build your identity, help you stay motivated on your goals that you want to achieve. And it will give you the direction that you need to actually create the habits that are necessary for you to achieve any goal, anything that you want. So if you're like me and you want to earn $1 million a month, guess what? Change your identity, change your habit, and that's it. And you will achieve that $1 million.
That's a very important approach and the thought process. I really appreciate that. So as we close, remember it's very important for people like us to not just rely on the past limitations, but also to prepare yourself based upon your past experiences. So the shift that you're waiting for in life often majorly begins the moment you decide to move forward in life anyway, right? So thank you so much for
Yep.
coming on the podcast today and sharing your experiences. I really like the idea of the app, especially, and the way you are trying to push that forward for other people to benefit in life. So thank you so much for finding your time. And it was very nice to learn from your experiences, Mr. Brown. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. See you later. Bye bye.
All right, so this was Mr. Brown in the house with us today in today's episode. So, where we talked about the real shifts, those moments that actually break you, that build you, and ultimately redefine who you are, who you want to become in the upcoming years. This is a space for honest stories, earned wisdom, and the courage to start again. And on this note, I would like to end the podcast by saying, keep shining, keep growing. And on this note, let me end the podcast by saying that you should have trust on your dreams and what you want to be, and align yourself in the right way so at least you can accomplish what you actually want to do in your life. So this is your host signing off. I'll see you next time, same place, but with a fresh guest on the channel. Till then, take care, keep shining, keep growing. And this is your host signing off.